Music is in here. The eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the advent. With crystal clear vision, we started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining. HallowMace on radio, Thursdays, 10 a.m. on Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. HallowMace on radio. Parliament, brought to the people. Brought to the people.
A beautiful morning to you, cousin. How you doing? Glad to have you join us on this edition of HallowMace on radio. Where are you at the moment? I believe that this is one time on radio that you would want to be involved as we key into some more conversations considering the 10th National Assembly at 1. Next week, Thursday by this time, the 10th National Assembly will be commemorating 1 year anniversary. Now, I'm glad that we would talk more as we continue on events. Last week, we promised you that we will be having Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe representing Abia South Senatorial District of Abia State. He is the chairman, Senate Committee on Power. When we talk about power, someone knows what that means. So we thank you so much for joining us. In the course of the program, I will open the phone lines for you for our engagement. Now let's take the introduction from a perspective that we might make sense of. In the last 14 years, spanning the period between 2010 and 2024, Nigeria's power supply has suffered roughly 243 cases of partial and total collapses, raising fears in the industry that unless remarkable progress is made, the current efforts of the administration to reflate the economy will remain a dream. As we continue our countdown to the 10th National Assembly at 1, what has been the journey so far in the area of power? Joining us in the studio at the moment is Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, representing Abia South Senatorial District of Abia State. He is the chairman, Senate Committee on Power. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Appreciating you so more. I hope I'm getting your surname correctly.
Abaribe.
Okay, Abaribe. Forgive your cousin on radio. Thank you so much. Right. All right. So do this with me. The number's 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to be part of our conversation as we continue from now up until 11 a.m. But it's interesting to note that we are on social media at X, HallowMace Africa, Instagram at HallowMace Africa, Facebook. You could like our page at HallowMace, YouTube at HallowMace TV. We will talk some more from a perspective of our website. Honorable Senator, thank you for coming through.
My pleasure.
I would have started from what happened on Monday, Tuesday now, where the national grid was totally down because of the labor and, of course, TUC strike. How was the experience? If we could start from there, how did you feel?
Well, I wouldn't say that it was a very nice experience for Nigerians, but we could understand that where assets are unionized, when there is a call for downing tools, that they normally do so. But I can also remember that at a particular time, we actually, it was designated as a critical asset. And critical assets, because of saving lives, are supposed not to be part of the unions. And so one would say that what labor did was to put a gun on everybody's head, right? Shutting down the whole thing. And I think that was why, in discussing it yesterday, the Senate President said, that they probably are committing some infraction. But we can understand their frustration and plight. And I think that, as you know, the leadership of the Senate and the House try to intervene to make sure that we can bring all parties to the table. And I think that since the conversation is going on now, we will wait and see where it will end up.
Okay.
Yes.
We are hopeful, actually. 13 June, next week's Thursday, the House of Representatives will be won as regards to the 10th National Assembly. If you are to talk on the journey so far on power, since you came in as the chairman committee on power, what would you say?
What I would say is that there's a French proverb that says, plus ça change, plus ça même chose. The more things change, the more they tend to remain the same. When we came in and the committee on power, we actually got the minister to interact with us and all the different agencies, and I could come to the same thing.
Okay.
Ever since the privatization of power, we have not seen any improvement. Why? There must be a reason. And we did an investigative hearing.
Okay.
And the investigative hearing turned up some, I would say, very strong proposition that we made to government.
Okay.
Basically, that the government, in trying to tackle the issue of power, goes ahead to tackle it in silos. What I mean by tackling it in silos is that you take one issue, but that issue has so many other multifaceted issues.
Yeah.
So we felt that the best way to get around the question of power in Nigeria is that they must take a holistic view.
Okay.
Because from the time of the previous governments, first, the Obasanjo government thought it was a question of generation. And that was why they did the NIPP and built several generating stations and encouraged people to go into generation. Now, the capacity for generation that we have is up to 13,000 mega, which means that it can actually go a long way in solving our problems. Then they found that it wasn't that issue.
Okay.
That there was also an issue of transmission, which means you can generate. But if you generate, you have to move the power.
Transmit it.
Now, and the transmission lines in Nigeria, moving the power from the generating lines to the distribution agencies, were left in the hands of government. And that was why the Buhari government went ahead to go and try to get a deal with Siemens and say, let Siemens help in revamping and strengthening the generation transmission lines. That has not gotten anywhere.
Absolutely.
And so we now have, in addition to the transmission TCN, which government, which is the transmission company of Nigeria, we still also have the Siemens power that is supposed to help in transmission. Then, of course, the distribution was also privatized, which led to 11 distribution companies, the ones we call discos, being established and run. The problem we had was that those distribution companies were supposed to have brought in investment to strengthen the distribution network in each area they were given. Unfortunately, from our investigations, they didn't do so. Rather, there was some, misalignments, and let me just say, some under-the-table things that were done. And so those distribution companies, instead of improving, now became they were now owing the local banks. They were supposed to have brought in foreign money at low interest rates. Now they are owing the local banks. And of course, when interest rates changed and when the exchange rate also changed, that now meant that the cost of doing distribution was higher. And so here you are, the distribution is not working, the transmission is not working, the generation is also not working. So what do you have? You have a total collapse.
Honorable Senator, look at what I'm thinking. The concept of privatization for a layman, when you say something is privatized,
yes,
government is not supposed to intervene or come in any place. So for us, it is still not a clarified conversation when you talk about the privatization of the power sector. Are we truly talking to Nigerians in a clearer moment to understand, indeed, if the power is privatized?
Well, they are privatized in name, but in their operations, we do not see any difference between what was called NEPA and what is now called the different discos. So there are people being owed all over the place. They claim that they are being owed. We have looked at their debts.
Okay.
And I think I will just take an example.
Okay.
Abuja Electric published, I think it was day before yesterday or so, the list of all the people owing them, including the armed forces. So we now said, okay. And there was, the minister told us that there was an ongoing discussion to do deduction as source from all ministries and all the agencies of government and all the other things direct to this discourse. And of course, that discussion is still ongoing because some of the ministers, of course, say you cannot, because when you do it, it's going to affect because it wasn't budgeted for. So there are just so many things. My or our suggestion as a committee, which we have presented on the floor of the Senate, was that can we take a step back and see how this whole thing can be looked at in a very, very holistic manner. By holistic manner, what I mean is if we are generating up to 13,000 mega and we can move it, then there's a problem. Then we looked at the transmission. Transmission said that they can move up to 7 point something megawatt. Yet, the distribution company said they cannot take more than 4 point something. So anytime that it reaches up to 4 point something, the whole thing crashes, which means that there is
a challenge.
There's a challenge in the distribution. There's a challenge in the transmission. Before you come to the challenge of the generating, and of course the generating stations are not generating as much as they can do. And what was the reason? They said the problem is that they have to pay for gas, and gas is paid for in foreign currency. And so at any time that the exchange rate changes, the cost of gas also changes. And that means that if you have to deal with the problem of generation, you also have to deal pari passu the problem of gas. And you see, that is what Nigerians don't understand. And every Nigerian just feels, we own this gas.
Very true.
It's coming from us. Why does it have to cost more than any other thing? But of course, the essence of having a truly free market economy is that you have to pay for things that people do. And the gas producers, not being Nigerian really, because they are joint ventures, they have to sell. And of course, if, for example, and I just use this as a mere example. A short while ago, we were having some discussions with some group that came to say they wanted to bring some power ships to us. And they said, listen, we're in Ghana and we are delivering power to them, and that we pay 6 point something dollars per BTU of gas. But Nigeria is 3 point something dollars. So if you're producing gas in Nigeria, will you sell at 3 point something or 6 point something? You will prefer to sell to Ghana at 6 point something than to sell to Nigeria. So you have a real big issue. And so that's why we suggest that rather than let me try to tackle gas And then by the time you tackle guy, there's another problem. Let me try to tackle this generation. By the time you want to tackle it, can the president step everybody and say, okay, why don't we come to the table? So the generators are there, the distributors are there, the transmission company is there, and all these other agencies that have been set up, there's what they call something power, there's the Siemens power, there's this. Can we all come and say, how do we untangle these knots that are holding back power? Otherwise, we will continue to bumble and fumble in this manner.
The most challenging thing at the moment for Nigerians is the tariff hike that came in. While you talk, I could understand the owing here and there. But maybe having you here as the Chairman House Committee on Power, you would help Nigerians to get a clarifying moment.
Yes, on the matter of the tariff, we can say very clearly that the committee that I had, after hearing from all of them, we recommended to government that they should go back to the old tariff. Okay. And that if you have to do an increase in tariff, it's not going to be in one fell swoop. You cannot just move from 66 to 200 and you destroy everybody's...
It is called 240% increase.
Precisely. So you destroy everybody's business. And the reason that we are all in Nigeria today is to ensure that businesses are not destroyed.
Absolutely.
That people have businesses to do. And so I had people make representations to us. Now, if you're running a hotel, for example, and the hotel says, this is what I pay. I'm paying 2 million naira or 3 million naira a month. And all of a sudden, I'm giving a bill of 30 million naira a month. How am I going to survive? And, and this is the same thing in all sectors. And we ask them another question. On what basis did you make this jump?
Very true.
You understand? And they said, now the jump is because you have a band here. You change everybody into different bands, which depends on the feeders that give you power. So if a feeder can give you up to 20 hours power, you will get this amount of power, and then you pay that amount. And we ask another question. If the total quantum of power is 4,000, and some group now starts getting 20, that means you're going to starve another group. And so that we think that it is discriminatory, and it's against the law. It's against the Electricity Act for you to design your tariff in such a way that some people are penalized. You understand? Yeah. For because they don't belong to a particular group. And I said, okay, well, at the moment, our report is on the floor of the Senate. And I think the minister also has a copy of the report. And then we will see what will happen.
Now, distinguished Senator, what I'm thinking at the moment is the function of the lawmakers. For these people to just come up and increase a 240% hike, was it enough that they should have been allowed? The National Assembly did not do anything until when this happened, questions started coming.
No, it is not our job to do the job of the executive.
Okay.
Understand that the Minister of Power and the Federal Executive and everybody are part of the executive. Our job is to represent the people. And so we make representation to say we don't think that what you did is right, and we think we ought to reverse it. Our job...
But the reversal is staying longer than necessary. Someone's with me.
Well, we are having that conversation with them. We make resolutions. Okay. I think the House already made an immediate resolution, but we've waited to get the facts before we could give our own concerns. Any serious government that wants to work with the people will, of course, listen to the yearnings of the people that is expressed through us, their representatives.
Okay.
That is how it's done.
Now let's see how we get involved with you too, cousin. If you're listening to us, it's HallowMace on radio, live on Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. We promised you last week that we'll be having the distinguished senator, House Chairman Committee now on power, Senator on power. Now I'm looking at what you need to do. Should you have some questions that you need to pull through and contributions to make, you reach us on 0909 752 9699. The numbers again, 0909 752 9699 is the number for you to call and ask your questions, make your contributions as the case might be. I'm looking at the concept while you talked about the ban that had the hike. I'm feeling that we might need some more clarifications, because whether or not you would say that the specifics for now that Nigerians would want to appreciate is if this reversal is done instantly. So I would need to know, because I'm just a layman here now. You are a lawmaker. How long would it take for this reversal to be done?
Well, let me put it this way. When the government wants to move fast on something, they will move fast on it.
I saw the national anthem.
when they wanted to do national anthem, they quickly move fast on it. Yeah. And they browbeat the people into doing it. As far as I know, they have the capacity to move fast on it.
Okay.
We have made the recommendations. It's up to the government to listen to the voice of the people.
Okay. Now, let's hear this voice here that is joining us, one voice of the people. Good morning, cousin. You don't flash. Get us on 0909 752 9699 is the number for you to call and be part of conversations. 0909 752 9699 is the number for you to call and be part of HallowMace on radio this morning. I suppose that your questions will have answers. Good morning, cousin.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Okay, this is IG Novo.
IG.
D for John.
Okay. ID.
Yes.
Thank you. How is Orozo?
Thank God.
Go ahead, please.
Please, I want to say good morning to our distinguished senators.
Good morning, ID.
Okay, sir. Sir, I don't know what has government done to those people who did that under the table dealing. I made them to go and start collecting money from banks, which now later turned to problem for us as a country. Initially, they said that they will go outside the country to and bring in money. But later they turn around and they collect money from within. So what has the government done to call those people to order? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ID. At this point, I give you a quick one to respond to him.
Well, we have made our suggestions known to government. Don't also forget that this was done how many years ago? Was it 13 years or so ago? That was when privatization was done. I think that was really the job of the Bureau for Public Enterprises that privatized these companies. They were supposed to have done their due diligence. I think what happens in this country, which is one of the problems of the country, is that when people don't do their job, they are let go just like that. If people are punished for doing the wrong job, then maybe the next person will not be able to do it. So, well, it's done. So the problem is, how do we resolve the issue today? Now, the first thing you need to do is that you must recapitalize these companies. They are not as capitalized as they do. Now, government owns 40% of each of the discos. And the problem that we have today is that there is still an ongoing conversation for government. Do you let go of the 40 or do you actually acquire back that? And that's a conversation that is still ongoing. Do you find a way of selling part of that 40% to another investor so that you can increase their capital base? Because what is going on with the discos today is that their capital base is low. They can't borrow from banks. The banks see them as not being viable enough. And so because they can't borrow from banks, they cannot invest in their infrastructure. They can't give you a transformer, for example. If your transformer is bad today, They cannot put new lines if they need to open up areas. So they make you, as the consumer, pay for all those things, which is actually their own asset. So the point is that there's need to put money in it.
Okay.
How do we put that money? Is the conversation that we're having with government.
Okay. 0909-752-9699. ID from Orozo. I hope that was satisfactory for you. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. You know, at some point as a layman, I realized communities have always mobilized themselves to buy transformers. And then they bring this kind of exorbitant billing for you. Let's see who we have here. Thank you for all. Come on, don't flash, cousin. If you can, reach us up here. Let's have this conversation justify. Someone is sending a text message, but it will be a challenge to answer to take your message because the calls will always come to interfere. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call and be part of HallowMace on radio. We are live with the distinguished Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Oh, I got that now?
Yeah, of course.
Cousin, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. You might need to speak up. Good morning. Maybe you should call back. 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. I wish you could ask more questions on the other side of the radio. Your contributions too will be appreciated. Good morning. Now, should I get an alternative number for your text message if the calls will keep getting like this? 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. I'm trying to see if I can have an alternative number for you for a message sending now. Good morning, cousin. Thank you for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Adekunle. I'm calling from Masaka.
Adekunle, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning to the Senator.
Good morning, Adekunle.
Please, on this issue of this NEPA thing, in my area, hello?
Yeah, we understand the concept of NEPA. Go ahead. Yeah.
In my area, we bought transformer. The transformer is not serving us. We are the one maintaining it. In fact, if there will be light, you will see the light very low. You complain to the NEPA, they will not do anything, and they will still bring much bill on us. I don't know what the government can do about that.
Okay. Thank you, Adekunle. I had to mention that because this particular bill here, as of June 4th, is about 58,788 naira 80 kobo, as against 2,455.20 in February 4th of 2024. So you would understand someone is the one the person that bought the transformer, they are maintaining the transformer, yet you're bringing exorbitant.
So let's put it this way. If you buy a transformer, that transformer is actually the property of the disco. In other words, the disco is supposed to refund you the cost of that transformer.
Interesting.
By putting it in your bill. The disco will amortize the cost of your transformer. Maybe they can take 36 months to amortize it. That means that every month you get a part of that, the cost of your transformer. And if they don't do that, you just report them to NEC, that is their regulator, and the NEC will ensure that they do that. So anything you buy for NEPA, whether it is your meter or it should be showing you that amount in your bill.
Okay.
Yes.
Cousin Adekunle, I hope you got that now. Good morning. We'll talk some more. I appreciate that we have the distinguished Senator, Chairman House Committee on Power.
Yeah, there's something else I need to add.
Senate Committee on Power.
He said that they bought, but that what they even have is not enough. So they have two options. Okay. Is to upgrade what they have in order, because once it's not, once the thing gets low, it means that the power that is coming there is distributed in such a very wide range that is not enough. So maybe they will have a 200 kV, they need to now upgrade to 500.
Okay.
But the point they need to know is that whatever they spend in terms of infrastructure, that disco is supposed to refund them and refund them through their bill. So if their bill was 10 naira before, the disco is supposed to reduce it to 8.
You see that?
And then they will be seeing it on their bill that this is the refund for whatever they have put.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a meter in my house that came with a dead on it. I'm wondering I bought with my money.
Oh yeah, just ask them for your bill and where they're refunding it. They should.
We have someone here. Good morning, cousin. Please talk to us.
My name is Olale Komutu from Hemara.
Wale.
Olale Komutu.
Olale.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir. So I want to be my senator. In fact, it's always my friend whenever I see something on the floor for telling.
Thank you so much.
In fact, what we talked about this morning, I'm very, very happy for this enlightenment. Like in my side, we were able to get down to about gather money and buy fire for about almost 200 liters of coal. So as the satellite come to our house. So we did this, at least we did. I think I can write to me. So in order to go on what we said, so that we can be kind of funding.
Thank you so much. We appreciate. Thank you so much. Now, enlightenment is what our radio does, actually, when we have access like this to talk to you. I hope that we would have some more time in our hands before we wrap up. 0909-752-9699. Let me talk to 2-3 callers, then we get back to some of the questions we've got here. Good morning, cousin. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Nick Monkat.
Nankat.
Nick Monkat.
Domkat.
Yes, I'm calling from Karshi.
All right, go ahead, Domkat from Karshi.
Yes, I'm a consumer.
Okay.
A client, you can say. I had to install the meter, I think, about 1 year ago.
Okay.
Now, having installed that meter, I noticed an outstanding bill of about 60,000, about 60,000 or so, which was never consumed by me.
Okay.
All attempts to try to draw the attention of ABC. I keep the perfect insisting that I have to pay. So I want to find out from the English if as a consumer who has never, used light before, to pay such amount, it's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Domkat. At this point, you are answering some questions because we have you. So,
well, I know that you may have, I will say, because what he says is that there was some bill he didn't. There may have been a previous customer on that particular meter that may have consumed that. Okay. So that's why we always, anytime they bring such to me, we always give them the advice. Okay. Prior to your using a meter that has already been used, ensure that the previous user had cleared all the bills. If you're moving into an apartment, ensure that apartment that they have cleared. Otherwise, you have the responsibility now using it to pay back all those things. And then, of course, if you live where there is a landlord is taking care of the bills and all that, you ensure that the landlord has cleared all the bills, because you can move in and then you're dumped. We have a lot of people coming and say, no, I never saw this bill before. I just came here, they're giving me 200 and something thousand, and he has been here. Why should I be the person to pay? It is your responsibility to have a zero bill before you start wherever you're living.
Cousin, information coming through. I suppose that you understand the concept of power when they say information is power. Hence, we have the Senate Committee Chairman on power with us, distinguished Senator Abaribe. I'm loving the way I'm articulating your name now. Good morning, cousin.
Good morning, sir.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Steve Baba.
Baba, thank you for joining us. Okay. How is Nasarawa this morning?
going right from side.
All right. Talk to us, please.
What happened is that it's all about the life of now today, and the life of now today is life on the power. And honestly, I'm sorry, please, my senator, I have to say good morning to you. You are a leader.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Please, one thing I want to underline about it. Can the FCC flash back for the 1999 election? In those days, we received 24 hours light, we received 24 hours tap, and if you can be able to check, nowadays, the light is not stable and the high rate of the bill is too much. Now we are talking about what to do, what to pay, and the light is not there. We can spend 3-4 days without light in National Local Government Council, and if the light is 3-4 hours highest. And now what I am seeing in a case study of cost accounting, we use another case to treat fresh case. So just take it back. In those days, what makes the light to be stable? Copy those things that make the light to be stable and apply it now so that things will move better.
Thank you, Baba. Let's have the distinguished senator respond to you immediately.
No. I can only say this.
Okay.
We have to acknowledge something, and that's what we said at the beginning. That the distribution companies cannot distribute more than 4,000 or something megawatt anytime. And once it goes beyond that, which means that their infrastructure is not good enough. And once their infrastructure is not good enough, what do you do in order to make them increase? You have to try and improve on that infrastructure. How do you improve on the infrastructure? You have to put more money into it. How do you put money? He said that has always been the problem. Now, what government says is that we have been putting money to help these distribution companies, and we don't want to put it anymore. So let the citizens who are consuming power pay the appropriate power. And we now ask them, so what is appropriate? You understand? If you look at the appropriate and you see that the appropriate is going to be a burden on your citizens, that is why you now have to subsidize power. And it's done everywhere else in the world. You don't subsidize consumption, which is what our government does. I've always been a critic of it. Don't subsidize consumption. Try as much as possible to subsidize the rest of us who are down there struggling to make a living every day. If you give him more power, just like he has said, can you imagine 3 days no power? What do you expect the man to do? He has to buy diesel or buy petrol. If he buys diesel, the cost is as high as anything. He buys petrol, the cost is as high as anything.
But what does what's the justification? Sorry, what's the justification? Being that the power is not available, yet the consumer seems to be paying exorbitant billing in respect to the power. Because I'm looking at the concept of estimated billing. That's always where challenges are for us. Assuming you have your meter, it's different. So what should we do?
What we suggest, number one, reduce the tariff. Number two, ensure that those who are unestimated get meters. And the reason why I insist that those who are unestimated get meters is this. As much as those who are unestimated billing are complaining, there are some people also unestimated billing who are not complaining because they know that on estimated billing, they are underestimated. And so it's a system that is just not, I would say, fair to everybody.
Absolutely.
So if I know somebody that is inside there, he comes to do estimated billing, he now does my own very low. And he goes somewhere else for those who he doesn't know, he raises the estimated billing. And of course, if it's estimated, if you report to NEC, actually, NEC can come with them.
Okay.
And then look at what are the basis of you to estimate A, B, or C.
Okay.
And then that is why we continue in our report to say, don't just bill people on the basis of you are in band A or B or C. You have to know if it's a place. If a place is residential, he must be on a particular band. If a place is commercial, he must be on. And in fact, the commercial ones are supposed to be the ones that are subsidized more.
Why is that?
Because the commercial ones are the productive ones.
Yeah.
So if I have a factory producing something for the consumer, if you give me lower power charges, then of course the cost of my products will be lower.
I should understand that.
You understand?
Yeah.
That is why.
Let's talk some more with you. Thank you. Good morning, cousin.
Good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes. Good morning, distinguished Senator Abaribe, Ethiopia Senator.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Pascal. I am reaching you this morning from Karo, Nasarawa State.
Go ahead, Pascal.
Thank you very much. My honorable senator, my question goes directly to you. Yes, it is acknowledged that the power sector is a very critical and important sector in the economy of any nation. And from my little knowledge of the process of appointment, every minister passes through the field of the nation. And I want to ask, the minister of power who incidentally is the person who is providing the ministry that you are heading at the committee level in the Senate. Every time you are confirming him, if you interrogate, because I've learned that he is an accountant, you ask questions very well before you confirm him. Or was it a case of bow and go? Because what you are saying in the power sector, he became a minister, and second collapse of power grid and everything points to the fact that this minister is not incapable.
Pascal.
What do we do about this? And how do we go about the process of appointing
Thank you.
an accountant as a minister for power? And thank you very much. That's my question.
Pascal, so
Thank you. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
I think that anybody can be a minister once you are willing to learn and you have the appropriate and qualified people around you. Actually, the job of somebody who is at the top is that you are supposed to be an administrator. You are supposed to be qualified to bring out the best from all your. So if you're a minister, you have a technical assistant, you have all your technical people at every level. At the TCN is a technical person, at the distribution is a technical person, all around you. And so what you do is to say, what is the best interest of the country? So if I being an accountant, I think is actually a plus. Because it means that you're going to understand the figures. Vis-a-vis whatever else that is technical. You're not going to have to go and put the nuts and bolts together as a minister. That's not your job. Your job is to drive the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Because it's always a team. You have everybody coming together and then you have the vision and you say, our job is to give power 24 hours to Nigerians. This is where we're going. What are the impediments? And then the technical people will tell you, okay, we need to have 10 power stations here. We need to have this kind of cables here. And then you now say, how do we drive it? What is the cost? What is the cheapest level? What is the best way for us to move forward? So I don't think that it has to do with the person. It more has to do with the competence of whoever is put in charge of driving a team. It's just like a president. You cannot say that the president need to know economics, need to know this, need to know. No, the president is a team player who stays there and says, CBN, this is what we want. We don't want interest rate that will cripple everybody. We don't want this. And then you drive towards that policy. What are the best policies that will get us there? And then the team makes the choice. And then you now say, okay, you go forward or you don't go. So I think that
so, distinguished senator, you permit me to say from your submission, you are satisfied with the honorable minister?
Of course, I am.
All right, let's hear you talk. Good morning, cousin.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
My name is Ibrahim. I'm calling from Kramadugu, Airport Road.
Okay, Ibrahim, go on, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, honorable senator.
Good morning, Ibrahim.
Yes, sir. I want to say that from your explanation this morning, you have made us to understand things we need to know about this electricity. From the area that I am living now, recently our transformer dead spoiled, and then we have to buy a new transformer. So when we now bought this transformer through someone who has to help us with the fund, these companies, they now compel us to write to them that this particular transformer was bought, that we should, the committee has given it out to this company, that we should say that, write it in a letter. So before they come and take the transformer. So we now write and give and say, we now write and give them that this transformer was given a gift to them from the community. So before they now came and fixed it. And we, the community members, have to pay the sum of 10,500 naira.
Can you?
That is
Now, Ibrahim, you have made your point. He has an understanding. We have a limited time. Let him just respond to you now.
That is wrong. You can buy a transformer. What you're doing is that you're helping them to improve their infrastructure. But that transformer belongs to them. They need to pay you back. For them to pay you back, they need to put it in your bill. So Ibrahim, what I should suggest is write to NEC, go to NEC, which is their supervisor, and say, we donated this to them. And we have not seen anything reflected in our bill. NEC will make sure that they compel them to reflect it in your bill.
Okay.
Because it is their duty to provide transformers for you. It is not the other way around. The only reason why communities are doing that now is that we think that instead of waiting and waiting endlessly, we go ahead and do it for them, but let them give us back the money through reduction of our bill.
I believe until today you had this clarification. If not, you would always want to question why the discourse handling your matters like this when it comes to billing. I feel that the high point of conversation is to let us understand that if you have bought any infrastructure for the discourse, know that it is their own. And they should
you should get your money back.
Get your money back. Cousin, turn it down, please, as we begin to wind down broadcast. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, morning.
Good morning.
Before I go ahead, I want to apologize to distinguish on the delay of the embarrassment given to him by the gallant soldiers in Abia State.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry, my senator. Then I want to ask you, please, is it not possible you, the chairman of power in the Senate committee, to make an proactive move in suggesting to the federal government, since these people have disappeared, and then they can cancel their bid contract and get in new people, or they play with the 40 remaining percent for the federal government, so that people can be alleviated in this issue of whole thing of life. My name is Oscar Kilo. I'm speaking from 35 years.
All right, Oscar Kilo, thank you so much.
Oscar, I can tell you, this is an ongoing conversation, and it's a conversation that we're taking very seriously. And like I said, the conversation is, what do we do at this moment? Do we give back the whole 40% that is left into and say, or do we bring in new investors? And even if we're going to bring in new investors, what are the agreements that were reached by the federal government between the BPE and the different discos. Were those agreements kept? What were the clauses there if there's a breach in agreement? So, sometimes we sit from outside and look at what people are doing. We're not sure of all the agreements and everything. And then we're having this conversation and we're telling the federal government, we must put money into this system. How do we put the money? It's either you as federal government say, okay, we're going to put this X amount. We're going to get X amount from this place. And then we're going to let another investor come in, we're going to sell part of our shareholding to maybe the current people. But of course, we ask them, if we sell our shareholding to the current people, they are not performing very well. Would you want to sell more to them when they're not performing so well with what they already have? And have in mind also that up to 3 to 4 discos today are owing banks so much that banks have moved in to take those discos over. And so the federal government, through the Minister of Power and the BP and every other, and the NEC, they are grappling with this problem. It's a very, very serious problem.
So what do? We hope for solutions to come quickly at us, because whether or not someone would want to go back to the 1990s where we enjoy power.
We went back to the old anthem, so we can go back to the 1960s. ECN.
Very true, cousin. Now I'm thinking of what you will expect. It's just that we need to wrap up on this note. This is the armed forces.
Yes.
At some point, the incident in Aba with the soldiers.
No, people misunderstand and exaggerated an incident that did not happen.
Look at that.
It was just about 2 hours after the killing of some soldiers. And then I came over there and I was driving in 2 black jeeps. They said that there were 2 black jeeps. So the soldiers insisted that we must come down. And I willingly came down. I came to them and they recognized me and they said, sorry, sir, but we had to ask you to come down because the people that killed those soldiers came in jeeps. And I said, yes, I could understand. Now, I don't know who now put out a story that the soldier humiliated me. They didn't. I willingly came down myself because I also had sympathy for those who were killed. They didn't do anything. They were just slaughtered like that by all these miscreants. And we ended that matter. And I was in constant touch with the military commanders there and said we must fish out those who did this.
Okay.
Yes.
It's better heard from the right person. The social media has a way of flying things just to make their own money.
No such thing happened.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I would think that we've done a good job with you on this broadcast today, cousin, except if you have more questions. I hope that we will be able to bring Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe back again as we continue conversation, because for me, you are also continuing our conversations. So maybe we will need to keep tap and hear you more.
Yes, of course. I'm always very ready to come over here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
By 13th next week, Thursday, we will be talking to the 10th National Assembly at 1. I would have are you happy with some of the jobs you've done, some of the achievements you've made within this period?
Of course, we're happy with some, but we're not on it. I'm also not happy with some. Listen, I didn't want the old national anthem. I felt that was a colonial anthem and that we should go with an anthem that Nigerians did here for whatever reason. But of course it's the law now. So I have to obey the law. So when they say stand up and sing, I also stand up and sing it. I'm a lawmaker. I obey the law.
You don't understand. I'm still learning it, and I hope that we get better understanding after now. Cousin, we appreciate you real good for this edition of HallowMace on radio. We had been with Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, representing Abia South Senatorial District of Abia State and Chairman Senate Committee on Power. Executive Director has been Sonny Anderson. Bob Genesis, your cousin on radio, remains my name. Until next week, we should be with you on the anniversary correctly. I don't know how many people we will be having. My executive producer will tell you. We will be having 3, maybe from Senate and members of House of Representatives. Once again, we appreciate you for coming. I call you cousin.
My pleasure.
On radio.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good day.
Those against the eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the Advent with crystal clear vision. We started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining.